everyone, and welcome back to Midnight Hustlers. I know I haven't been as active in posting since the last 2 weeks, but I promise that I'll compensate for it by posting frequently in the coming weeks. So make sure that you're subscribed because a lot of exciting stuff is planned up. We have some really special guests joining us in the next few weeks, and obviously, I'll be doing some individual podcasts too. And trust me, they're going to be really beneficial for you, and I'll try to make them as engaging and interesting as possible. Now, moving on to today's episode, which is going to talk about something that people of all age groups struggle with: time management. Now, it's something that I struggle with as well, and I mean, I guess if I had to list something down that I struggle with the most, it is time management. So guess what? I did some research around time management, and turns out that there are scientific ways and techniques to, managing your time well. Now, if you're a business studies student, or generally if you're like really aware of the world around you, you would know that there have been discoveries in the past, and there have been scientific methods and techniques that have been developed to sort of eliminate any obstruction that could lead to you wasting your time. And in the recent times, scientists, social scientists, psychologists have developed ways which you can use as a layman to make the best use of time. And I'm going to share those with you today. Now, there are a lot of techniques out there on the internet, in books, and all, but I've chosen the ones that made the most sense to me. So, let's get on to discussing these techniques. Alright, so the first technique that we're going to be discussing is called the Pomodoro Technique. I really hope I'm pronouncing it right. So, the Pomodoro Technique, I'm sure you might have heard this name sometime in your life. This technique was basically proposed by Francesco Cirillo, and it's called Pomodoro because of the intervals that he named after this term. And basically, it's also associated with a tomato because of the timer that he created. He created a tomato timer. I'm sure you might have seen it in a home center or somewhere. Yeah, so basically, what you need for this technique is a timer, as I said before. It's not necessary that you need a physical watch or the timer in your phone or something, because that can be really distracting if you have a phone with you all the time. And also, it's not really possible for us to get a physical timer. So, what you can do is install extensions on Google like Tide, which helps you monitor your it's actually based upon the method of Pomodoro techniques, so you'll not need to do much settings in that. It'll just automatically really help you in following the Pomodoro technique. Now, what this technique does is that it divides your work into intervals. So, what you do is you get started on a task, put a timer for a minimum of 25 minutes, or even more than that, according to what your attention span is. Now focus completely for that 25 minutes on the task at hand. Just be as efficient and as productive as possible, and then take a 3 to 5 minutes break, which obviously can be adjusted according to your need. Then repeat the 25 minutes or more interval of studying or doing your work again, and repeat these steps 4 times, and then start taking longer breaks because you'll start burning out by then. Now, this technique is perfect for people who feel burnt out easily and have a short attention span, but it might not work out for those who like to get deeply involved with their work and they lose out on productivity and find it difficult to get back on track after short breaks. The next technique we're going to be discussing is actually a law. It's called the Parkinson's law, and it was a law defined by a British historian which underlines the concept that the work you want to do can be completed in the amount of time you give to it, which basically means that when you set a deadline which leaves absolutely no room for breaks, only efficiency, then the time that you take for doing that work is naturally cut down, which is a very sensible and a thing which we know by common sense. But what this technique basically tells you that you should, if you know that, if it's common sense that obviously if you leave no room for breaks or getting distracted, then you will cut down on the time you take to complete that task. Then why don't you actually put that to practice? So this basically says that you need to limit the time of doing a task. Suppose you think that you can complete a task in 1 hour, just cut that time down in half and try doing that work in half an hour. What it sort of does is give you an adrenaline rush. And an example of this can be working without a laptop charger. Like just start with your laptop at suppose 80 to 90% of charging and don't attach a charger to it and start doing a work and commit to yourself that you will complete the task before your laptop runs out of charging. Now, this will be great for those who work well under pressure or for people who are procrastinators, because this will give them a very, very difficult deadline to approach. But it's also scientifically proven that we can manage to do tasks in much less time than we can imagine. It's honestly really perfect for me because I am somebody who works great under pressure, and I don't really start working till the time I've been given a very close deadline. So yeah, I will definitely be trying this out. Now, the third technique that we're going to be discussing is called time blocking. And this is a method which is very and extremely difficult to adopt. But Elon Musk follows this method, and I guess that says a lot, right? It's a brand in itself. So, what time blocking basically means is that you divide your day into blocks. It can be hourly blocks, half hourly blocks, or quarterly blocks. And now you need to assign tasks to each block, even for things like having breakfast. Now you will see how much time you have in a day, and it'll make you want to not waste it. It'll show you how much you can do with the time you have in a day, which we don't actually realize on a day to day basis. But you should also remember to add buffer blocks in between so that you can adjust for any time that you lost in between. Because if you just keep on doing and doing, then you won't find any time for yourself. Now, this method is perfect for people who have a lot of tasks to complete in a day but also want to take out time for leisure. So, no time will be obstructed, no time will be wasted, and you will have time for everything you can imagine. The fourth technique that we're going to be talking about is called the rapid planning technique, also known as RPM, the rapid planning method. And also, excuse any background noises because I'm actually recording this in the balcony. Uh, Anyways, continuing with this. So the rapid planning technique was developed by Tony Robbins, who is a motivational speaker. This technique is basically a brain training method which asks you to focus on the vision ahead of you and blur everything else. It consists of 4 steps. The first step being capturing, which is to write down all the tasks you have to accomplish in a week. The second step is chunking, which is chunking similar tasks together. Suppose college related tasks, school related tasks, personal tasks, family related tasks, etc. The third is to create blocks. In this, you need to divide your sheet into 4 columns. The first one being the task, the second being the result you want to achieve by completing this task, third is the purpose for doing this task, and fourth is the actions you're going to take to complete this task. The fourth step is to empower yourself. Encourage yourself by validating yourself that you will be able to complete all the tasks that you have planned for in the upcoming week. This technique is perfect for people with long term goals and people like school and college students who have a lot to cover in very less time. The last technique is called getting things done, which is the GTD method, which is also similar to RPM, which was the rapid planning technique. In this, you need to capture your actions, as in just write down everything that you want to get done. Now you need to clarify if they are doable and if they seem too far fetched to be completed, like suppose completing a 10-page essay in 1 day. Ignore such tasks for now and be realistic with yourself. That is the only key which this technique requires. You need to prioritize your tasks and cross off and keep crossing off tasks and updating your list, because this will motivate you and engage you with your tasks. As you see that how one by one all your tasks are getting completed, and trust me, it's a different achievement level you feel when you just cross off things off your to-do list. This technique is mainly for people who feel overwhelmed with work or can't focus on one task because they're constantly thinking about all the other tasks which are pending. Now, these were some of the techniques which I found out while researching and made sense to me. However, let me point out that I would not ask you to follow these techniques line by line. Obviously, if you want to, then that's your choice, and it's perfectly fine if you want to, because these are tried and tested methods developed by educated people and who were experts in their field. But do not feel restricted to follow only these. Feel free to mix and match. Feel free to use a combination of two or more than two techniques, or just pick out something from one technique that you like. Just basically customize techniques. These were just pointers for you to refer to, and I hope you found them useful. Just make sure that you choose what's best for you. So that was it for today's episode. I hope you found these techniques useful. If you did, make sure to like this video and let me know down below in the comment section. Also, please subscribe to the channel. As you already know, it motivates me a lot to come up with more content. And I'll not say next week, but I'll try to post frequently and as soon as possible. So meet you soon. Bye. Thank you.